हेलो फ्रेंड्स, वेलकम बैक अगेन टू माय यूट्यूब चैनल IITN वकील। तो आज IIT-KGP में क्रिश्चियन फेलोशिप के द्वारा क्रिसमस ईव सेलिब्रेट किया जाने वाला है। तो आज हम लोग देखेंगे कि वहाँ पर कौन चीफ गेस्ट आने वाला है। मैंने सुना है कि बेनी प्रसाद सर आने वाले हैं, जिन्होंने 257 कंट्रीज ट्रैवल किए हैं, और वो अपना मोटिवेशन स्पीक्स कंडक्ट करेंगे और बताएंगे कि हाउ ही ट्रैवल 257 कंट्रीज एंड हाउ गॉड इज़ विथ हिम फॉर ट्रैवलिंग दिस 257 कंट्रीज। तो देखते हैं कैसा है आज का व्लॉग। तो चलिए बने रहिए मेरे साथ। सीधा चलो।
But why? What does the birth of Jesus Christ mean for us here and now? The answer to these questions are in the upcoming Hindi song, I Am the Sea, Duniya Mein. from being riddled with sickness and contemplating suicide at the age of 16 to becoming the pride of his family, his life is a testament to God's saving grace and transformational power. Without any further ado, I would like to invite our guest speaker, Dr. Prasad, over to the podium.
Christmas. I was telling my wife, my wife and myself, we both are educationally compatible, but we are not ones who have really done so well with our basic education. My wife is 9th standard up here and I'm 10th standard failed. So, we couldn't do really well in those aspects. But the only way we get qualified to come to prestigious institutions like this is to come as chief guests and musicians and artists. So we thank God for all the talent He has given. And so blessed to be here with you all. It was a long journey. I've been traveling almost every day, and this morning at 4 I left from Pune, and then I'm here. And tonight again but Christmas was one of my favorite festivals, is because that was the only time where your marks card did not matter in terms of the gifts that you get. Otherwise everything was dependent on how you did in your studies. And that was the only time where my father and my mother would not look at my marks card. Otherwise, all that I wore had spelling mistakes in the branding. I don't know in the North Indian culture or the South Indian culture, all the things that you wore mattered in terms of how you did in your studies. And since I didn't do well in my studies, so the things that I wore were all fake ones, like small spelling mistakes, like Bata was Buddha, Lotto was Luto, Adidas D was missing, something or the other was there. This was the only time where nothing of those things mattered. So it was just a very special occasion. But after a certain point, all these gifts did not. 16, the doctors had given me 6 months to live. And I was a failure. My father was an aerospace scientist, and my mom worked for a radio station called Viva Radio. And being the firstborn, I was expected to take up my father's role. And he came from a remote village in Andhra Pradesh called Iit-Kgp. And he grew up with no electricity, worked hard, and became an aerospace scientist. And he comes and says, I've given you electricity, what are you doing? And it was so hard to keep up to the pressures and the expectations. And Christmas was the only time where we were not compared. Otherwise, the whole year we were compared to the milkman's children, the bus driver's children, the auto. Thinking, why should I live anymore in this world when I have 6 months to live medically and I'm a failure educationally, and in every aspect there is nothing left for me to live. But at 16, something happened, and I'll tell you a little later about that. But this song, You Raise Me Up, When I'm on Your Shoulders, really brought the memories back to what happened at 16, and on whose shoulders that I put my life upon, and how God really raised me up, and I've been able to play a beautiful instrument like this called pan flute. And 2012, I was invited to play at the Paralympic Games in London. I use this microphone and play the track. We can turn off these lights. This one? Yeah, that's right. I struggled growing up with identity. I struggled growing up with purpose. And I went to church every Sunday because that's what I was required to do, being born in a Christian family. And, I just hated everything about spirituality in my life. I felt God was unfair. And, my father said, if you don't go to church, you'll not get your lunch. So the only incentive was food for me in terms of spirituality. But when it came to this point of 16, where I was so broken without purpose. And that is when I decided that, I don't want to live anymore, and there is no meaning to even Christmas. Even though it was my favorite time of the year, after a certain time, the food and the gifts and everything became so empty. But it was understanding the message of Christmas, where, it said that Jesus, he came into this world. The famous verse, John 3:16, for God so loved the world. And the question came is, if God so loved the world, what about me, who is a failure? Because the understanding is that people who are doing well in life are ones who are celebrated. But I was an utter failure. I went for music lessons, and on the first day, the guitar teacher told me, don't come back again. He said, you have no qualities of music because I was tone deaf and beat deaf. That is, I could not clap to the right beat or sing to the right tune. So I was 15, I was thrown out. I was good in sports, I did really well, and I was hoping that one day I would be an Olympic champion for India. But at the age of 13, I just got so carried away on the field for a final sports in Cambridge, India. And I had accidentally stepped into the javelin zone. And Raju was throwing the javelin, and I didn't even notice it. And the javelin came and hit my spinal cord, and I was thrown to the ground. It was an accident. But it was a miracle that I survived the javelin hit. But I had to end all my sporting activities. So whatever I dreamt of, everything completely vanished off. And Christmas being the year also became meaningless. But this particular verse really triggered, saying, if God really loved the world, then he should also love me, for being hopeless, worthless, sickly, and purposeless. And it was at 16, at the lowest point of my life, I heard the audible voice of Jesus Christ. When Jesus said, Benny, even though you are called useless, I want you. I can transform your life and make you a new person. But for me, it was surprising that God could speak. Generally we have this understanding that God is somewhere in the cosmos, somewhere quite far off, and it might make no sense that God would speak. But for me, I literally heard the audible voice of Jesus Christ. I still remember when we were having a discussion in North Korea. I was invited by the government of North Korea to represent India to perform for the 100th birth anniversary of the founder. And the official was asking, Benny, how can you say that you heard the audible voice? I said, that is true, it is my life. Because at 16, I was on the verge of killing myself. I had no hope, medically, emotionally, educationally, physically, in every aspect. And it had to be the voice of Jesus Christ that transformed my life. And so that voice transformed my life, and for me, Christmas became more meaningful than ever before. And so I surrendered my life into the hands of Jesus Christ. About this new journey, I was a very timid person. I struggled with language. I studied in a Hindi medium school. Everything was in Hindi, and I struggled in Hindi, I struggled in English, I struggled in every aspect. But when the transforming power of Jesus came into my life, Christmas became real. That truly, He loves us so much that regardless of what the world terms us, regardless of what we might be able to achieve or not be able to achieve, God still has a plan and a purpose. He was willing to forgive me of all what I had done and transform me and make me this new person, a person with confidence, a person with dreams. And my dream was to go to one country before I died. That was my amazing, biggest dream, is to go to one country. But I went back to Jesus and I said, God, what is your dream for my life? Understanding the purpose of Christmas is that the purpose behind Christmas is that Jesus, being in heaven, He came down to earth so that He could pay the price, the penalty of my sins, of our sins, and in exchange give us righteousness, because we can never, ever be able to get rid of our wrongdoings. So this is my one passport as of now, but of course it's a combination of passports, and that's my world map. And I was able to travel to 257 countries, no countries left so far. Bougainville was supposed to be the latest country before COVID. They won the referendum, but nothing happened beyond that. So this is my one passport, and that is my map. And in 2010, I arrived in my last country at the time, it was Pakistan, and I broke 6 world records, and one of them was I became the fastest man in history to travel to every country in the shortest time. 245 countries. The 245 countries, including Antarctica, in 6 years, 6 months, and 22 days. That is both sovereign and dependent countries. Countries some of you might have never heard of. Now, one such country is in the last corner, tiny little country called Iit-Kgp Island. It is so far away that from the nearest airport it takes 2 days by boat. But the boat is available once in 3 months. So your option to travel there is extremely limited. So I did a concert there, and the organizer comes to me and says, Benny, you will not believe this is the largest gathering we ever had, coming from India with 1.4 billion people. You know, he's saying this is the largest gathering in our small hall. And I said, what do you mean? He said, the entire, the number of people who have come here is about 54 people. And I said, so what? He said, but the population of the country is 66 people. So that's 80% of the country has come to watch you, Now, what an amazing feeling that was to find out that 80% can fit into an auditorium actually. But amazing life that I've enjoyed throughout these journeys. God provided everything, Many times we think that money becomes the decision maker and the factor of everything. A lot of people could give us a chance to live a better life on this earth, and also to forgive us and give us a brand new start. And for me, that is Christmas. Christmas is that, Jesus gave up heaven to die on the cross, to pay the penalty for my sins, for our sins, and in exchange, give us righteousness. And today, the only way that people ask me, how could you become like this? How could you even get the courage to speak like this? Where did you learn to speak? How could you travel to every country in the world? When after questions, people are asking, and the only answer I can give is that, the transforming power of Jesus Christ is what transformed me to become who I am. And friends, don't give up, no matter how tough the going gets. And in my life, I've experienced that there's a God who loves you, who cares for you, and who can intervene in the most darkest and the most difficult seasons of our lives. One of the challenges of travels, I was telling the Chief Minister of Goa, Dr. Prasad, that the challenge of travels is having a life of integrity and honesty. A passport like this is fine, it's fun, but the question comes is, do you really travel with integrity? My first country that I traveled to as a concert artist was Russia. And I was deported back when I landed there, is because I refused to pay a bribe of $50. And I faced a defeated situation. I was detained in the airport for 30 hours, and I was sent back to Delhi. But understanding that, Jesus was willing to pay the price, even for our pain and our sufferings, even when we have to face challenges for good, gave me the courage to take up my baton and to move forward. And that's how I was able to travel again and even achieve the speed of traveling to every country in this world. There are challenges in this world, dear friends, and times when we might even have to compromise to our ethics, to our value system. But today I can stand in front of everyone and say that I have never had to bow down to the pressures of this world. I've never had to bow down to accept a compromise with the pattern. I said, I'm not everybody. And so he told me to take off my suitcase and my guitar from the taxi, and he told the taxi to move. When he stared at me, and I was clueless because I didn't even have a visa to go back to the country I came from. But for me, the message of Christmas was also about integrity and character, and I made sure that I would stick to that. And looking at me, he saw that I was not shaken, and then he shouted at the taxi, and the taxi guy stops, and then he tells him to come back, and the taxi comes back. And he looks at me and he says, you are a stubborn guy, you will never change. And probably for the first time I found a good meaning for stubbornness. All my life, it was always, you are a stubborn guy from a negative perspective. Here, I was able to get back into the car, and this time all the passengers said, Penny, is it worth fighting for $1? Is it worth? I said, you know, our life is not about the amount, but it is about the value. So that value, I found greater importance than achieving a goal. And it was amazing when I reached the last point of a checkpost. This time all the officers, all the passengers, they told the officer, sir, you first take money from this Indian gentleman. If he gives you the $1, then we will give you. If he does not give, we will not give. And you know, that day, none of them gave. And in a small way, I could make an impact. But for me, this is what I learned from Christmas. That even the death that Jesus died on the cross, and the life he led was flawless, without any compromise. He came into my life, transformed my life, and he gave me this brand new life. And today, I'm able to go back and invest into the society by helping people to find purpose and meaning in life. If there's anyone going through a tough life, I challenge you, friends, and I want to encourage you. Please don't give up your life, because your life is valuable and precious. If God could have a purpose in my life, He can have a purpose for you too. Thank you, and God bless you all.
चल ही रहा है, खत्म हो गया अब लग रहा है.
Thank you very much, sir.
रुको बताता हूँ.
The music and the lyrics often convey a sense of happiness and festivity while sharing the good news of the birth of Lord Jesus. Let's delight together and enjoy the essence of Christmas by singing our first carol, Joy to the World. Invites listeners to journey to Bethlehem, painting a serene tableau of the holy night when Christ was born. We will dim all the lights in the auditorium and have a few candles on stage. I request you all to join us by switching on your mobile flashlights. Silence. If you're interested, you can approach our literature table, they'll guide you. We have a gallery set up in the foyer that portrays the life of Jesus. The pictures are same on both the sides, so you can look at either side as you go out. There are snacks and a slice of Christmas cake for you all. The cake is eggless. Enjoy the snacks and please use the dustbin or the garbage bag to dispose of the wrappings. We want to leave the place as clean as possible. We end today's program by wishing you Merry Christmas with the song Feliz Navidad, which in Spanish means Merry Christmas.
Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, prospero año y felicidad. Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, prospero año y felicidad. We wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. We wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. We wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of our hearts. We wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. We wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. We wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of our hearts. Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, prospero año y felicidad. Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, Feliz Navidad, prospero año y felicidad. We wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. We wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. We wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of our hearts. We wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. We wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. We wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of
Fill you with all joy and peace as you leave tonight. We thank you all once again for coming. Have a great evening. God bless you all.
Thank you so much. If you ever come to Bangalore, please come and visit us.
Definitely. Thank you.
What you want. Today my father, he tells about me, about my passions and other things. He tells to others.
What's an alternative of both?
Yes, yeah.
In your imagination, what would have been the possible alternative?
See, if there was an alternative, I would requested me to just go here. So my plan was go there for 3 days and from there run away to Goa and kill myself.
My second
So I really don't know. Personally, from my understanding, I don't.
क्या है भाई मेरे को भी दो
I think that what is it?
ये क्या क्या है कैलेंडर ये भी डिपार्टमेंट they're giving us cake and this thing खाते हैं चलो. So here our chief guest sir is taking photos with all the people. So friends, finally it is an end of vlog. If you like this vlog, kindly like and subscribe my YouTube channel IITIAN-VAKIL. तो आपको कैसा लगा इंस्पायरिंग स्टोरी बेनी प्रसाद सर का? तो अच्छा लगा हो तो kindly like and subscribe and comment on my YouTube channel. Thank you.